So we close in on three of the ladies of the council as they are having their own celebration with a fourth lady who is not on the council, but who is absolutely delighted for the opportunity to get out of the house, even though she has required quite a bit of assistance to do so. Laura is out with the groups that are celebrating because she is one of the bachelorettes, and so I'm going to leave it to, I think, since Honorine has been in chart has been the um not the bridesmaid, what the word I'm looking for?
Maid of honor.
Maid of honor. Um I'm guessing that puts Runa into the place of like planning the bachelorette party.
Actually, that is the maid of honor's job.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Runa would be happy to, but if we're going by like traditionally, that is the maid of honor's job.
Yep.
That's fair. So I'll let you decide it between the two of you who's actually doing that part of it, and let me know like what the plan is for it. So if the male's bachelor party was a little simpler.
I fear Honorine is better at planning a party. Unless we want it to be super Viking.
I
I
don't
was
have
just
a problem
putting-
with that.
I was going to say, letting the Viking plan the dough party is going to involve a lot of axes and beer.
Just,
Can we do axe throwing? Can we do a bachelorette axe throwing where Runa teaches us how to throw axes? Because listen, I've done axe throwing before and it's a hella fun.
Yes.
Okay, so now I have the picture that we're definitely having like the Vestin we're definitely having like the Vestin style bachelorette party, which I don't think has ever been a thing for Runa's culture, but she can absolutely improvise.
She's like, I'll figure it out.
So if Runa is good with it, do you want it to be like they are using the self-sailing Revenge to go up and down the river and have like a little like wine tour where they're like axe throwing at like targets that have been set up in different areas?
Correct me if I'm wrong, the Revenge is a known ship.
It is, yes, but it is not wanted in Freeburg because it's a, like not a coastal city.
Then yes.
And I think they could also like, at least for the purposes of this, they might have, like put a dress on the figurehead and covered the name and stuff like that, like
maybe
done the
switched
equivalent
out
of
the
like putting
mask
a
or
fake
something
license
else.
plate on a stolen car.
I like the dress on the masthead. I think that's really funny because it's like it's a traditional Viking longship, so it's like a dragon, right?
Yeah, it's not like over like a
So it's a
female.
dragon with a
It's like
dress.
over a dragon, like wearing a dress. Yes, it is the SS, totally not the Revenge. So there are, all sorts of shops that have opened. They started down at like the corner of Der Roth down here, and they have been taking a leisurely tour up the river, banking and going by Finerhard, where Runa's gotten to kind of like, oh hey, this is where I like, had my boat blown up by an explosive. Got kissed by Foner Posen.
They kissed? I don't remember them kissing.
I think she stripped her clothes and kissed her, and then
she did not. I remember her cutting her clothes off. I do not remember the kiss, but if they kissed,
there was absolutely a kiss.
Yeah, there was. But it wasn't romantic. I think it was to save her life or something.
No, I think it was fully just sort of a possessive kiss after she cut her clothes off, and then was like, "We're back on the road."
Yeah.
And we're moving. We're moving.
I think she said something.
Clothes off and then kissed her.
I think she said. Okay. I think she said something about like if I were a younger woman or if you were a little bit older.
She wrote to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
that bitch.
So I'm now picturing a very lively retelling and honoring Rose like that bitch.
Yeah, because Runa's like, and then she fucking kissed me.
And then she broke up with me with a letter, or she sent me a letter.
It remains unclear whether Honorin's referring to Runa or Posen after the kiss.
And the Hannelore is just absolutely like eyes wide as she's like hearing these stories. Like Gab didn't tell me that part. That part's juicy. I would have put that in the book.
There are some things Gav didn't know.
Gav had an extremely boring and uneventful conversation with Griselda Inselhofer.
She's like, that is what I get for not interviewing primary sources.
Hey, I'm willing to answer your questions anytime. I feel like by this point she has had not a considerable amount, but like at least 3 beers already.
And she's like, when you say cut your clothes off, do you just mean like the outer layer?
Yeah, what do you mean, Runa?
I was in
do
a
you
corset
mean?
and underwear.
Hmm.
You guys saw me.
Oh, that's right.
I walked into the Drakken's Tooth
I
in what I had left. You were there for that.
I
I
just
do-
don't know what was picked up along the way after the cutting. It was very unclear.
I understand. Well, I'm happy to answer your questions.
pretty
Yeah,
sure.
and
I have
Hannelore's like,
some-
well, I wasn't there, and I'm happy to live vicariously.
Runa probably, like, if people are like dancing, she like would lift Hannelore because she's so pregnant.
Just
Yeah,
like thank
she kind of
arms.
gets up and like there's like a rocking of the boat, and she's like, I don't think that's the best idea. And she kind of like sits right back down. um it with a she like squeezes her hand. She's like, I really appreciate it. I'm just
No, that's fine.
she says, I don't have the legs for water yet.
Takes time.
And the river cruise continues. You guys kind of like move up, and by the merchant's quarter, it's a like much more intimidating sight from the river, as like because it's the only district that has its own walls, right, as opposed to being inside of like the city's walls. And Runa can see like the like dock where she was led to the tunnels where she'd been held for quite a while. Like that was like where she'd been held underground. And then we come around to Flucifer and the riverfront, which is kind of Rosa's stomping grounds for like a really long time. Not only that, but like you're within sight of, you can see where the bear house is, and there's Veronica like meets by the riverside with like a re-up of alcohol and axes.
Care to join us?
And she's like, we're so close to opening right now. She's like, I have to go run through my songs one more time. She's like, but I would love to. Have you heard what has been written? It's amazing. And she just sort of like bubbles there for a minute before like the boat starts to like float by her, and she like has to like go up one staircase and then run down the street into another staircase to like get to them in time and hand everything over. This time without distracting herself. And
yeah. You weren't here last week for the creating of the epic.
No, but I heard it was great.
It was pretty great.
And you helped.
I hope you don't
You
mind,
helped.
but we used your craftsman skill for the creation of it.
I'd be mad if you didn't.
Yeah, we thought it would be okay. I think
Runa
didn't
is
you
the
end up
set
breaking
builder.
200 on that roll.
Holy.
I wrote it down.
It was like 156 or something.
154 with all the
Yeah.
bonuses and everything.
Yeah, and I think Runa added
200,
a
I
full like,
wish.
40 points with that.
Yeah, 50.
Mhm.
Yippee! I helped.
Actually, I think I got 94, and then plus the bonuses was 54. So
150. No, it was 64 because it was 30 and 30. So sorry, 60 points of bonus. So that
yeah, I got
was
it
the
94, and then it got up to 54.
Yeah, that's right.
So that the math.
Yeah. Math.
So I think Was it 30 from anyway, sorry, I got lost in numbers for a second. Anyway, you helped, and it was epic, and it's great. And Honoring's probably like talking to Runa about it, like while they're like chatting excitedly about it.
Yeah, Veronica is getting to play another male character. This one a lot darker, more aggressive, and she's extremely excited about it.
It's like I'd assume Runa would know enough about the show.
Yeah,
To
she was helping build the
building
set
this,
and everything. So,
but she's
uh,
happy to hear whatever else Honorine has to say about it. She's happy to be here. After being, the drinks are helping, especially after being sad. Like the like roughest parts of the grief.
This is as much for Runa as it is for Rosa and Hannelore.
yeah, just getting to be in company.
And
So what is Honorine saying as a general description of it? You know, like of the play. Like, what does it mean to her? What's like her favorite thing about it? Or
I have forgotten everything that I said last week about it. So, she's describing it as a it's really kind of a love letter to like her adopted home city, in that it's in the form of a story that is deeply Eisen. She's like, I don't think a story like this would last 5 seconds in Montaigne. I think they'd throw us all out, which is fine. And there are sections that do have some levity to them, but for the most part, did we say it was a tragedy? Did we say it was a comedy? Like, I don't remember. I think she's trying for a comedy-ish to get them out of the mood of the plague.
I think it ended up being more of like a cathartic tragedy.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, okay. So yeah, she's like, you know, there are some moments of levity, and like there always are in real life, but you know, we have just gone through a tragedy, and so it's an ode to the grieving and a nod to the uncertainty that we're all facing right now, all the time, forever. And your sets are beautiful.
I try my best. Actually,
I think it's
I work really hard. Thank you.
I think it's one of like the starkest and darkest sets Runa's built, which has probably worked fine for her headspace in the last few days.
It's probably, maybe it's been a bit like, you know, put your pain into your art.
It's 100% that for Honorine as well. So I think she's just like 4 cups of wine. A passion
project for both of them.
4 cups of wine, and she's like, your sets are beautiful. My God.
Oh, and your writing is wonderful.
I'm so glad I get to work with you.
It's my favorite.
And Hannelore she's sipping wine that's been like watered down to like 10% of like it is actually wine, but she's giggling the entire time, like just
you want to throw
like
some
little
axes?
bits of it. What's that? She's like,
sorry, I cut you off. You finish, and then
no, she is absolutely excited to like throw some axes.
She's also asking Honorine as like their conversation kind of comes to a close. It's like axe time.
Yes. After drinking, yes. No possible problems with that. She also not to leave like Runa out or anybody out, but like there definitely is a moment where Honorine kind of pulls Rosa aside. I don't know, to maybe like a quiet end of the boat, or something like that. Um,
Rose has just been having fun watching you guys this whole time.
Runa has probably been like dancing around with everyone.
yes. And so I think Honorine like kind of puts an arm around Rosa and like kind of pulls her close and like leans on her shoulder. She's like, I love you.
I love you too.
I'm glad you're going to be happy, even if never mind. I think you're going to be very happy.
There's a squeal from the front of the ship where Hannelore has just hit her first target on the entire thing, only to realize that she threw a mug instead of a throwing axe.
Oops. It means a lot
Runa
to
claps
me.
anyway.
It means a lot to me that you are happy. I have a wedding gift for you, or an engagement gift, I guess. I had it
What?
made for you. It has some of the ink worked into it from the page of the journal where the song was that I think saved your life. And so Honorine has she took the page that they had, because they had the page left over from after all of the ice. And she didn't like harm the page as much as she could. She just took like a little scraping of the ink and gave it to the jeweler, and had it worked into a musical note, like a quarter note kind of thing, made out of probably pewter. Like, I don't think it's fully like silver or whatever. Like, I don't think it's a particularly precious metal, but it is like a pendant or a charm or something that she can wear on like a necklace or a bracelet or whatever. And so she like kind of unwraps it from a little piece of paper, and like kind of offers it to her, like, this is for you, just because it seems appropriate.
Yeah, she'll pick it up. Grazie, Honorine.
You're welcome.
I'm going to have to find a jeweler to put this on a necklace for me.
I'm sure you know enough crafts. You certainly know a girl who knows a girl kind of thing, but
I mean, I would ask Runa, but looks over to Runa, who I feel like is very drunk at this point.
She is throwing axes, and I think she's shockingly getting them in the
she
target.
gets
It's not
better the
close to the
drunker she
target.
gets. She's that chick.
I think she's that bitch, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she's throwing them, but like you don't know how the axe got there. Like, some of them are sideways.
There's like, I think what they've been throwing them at is bridges as they pass over, like under them. Like the idea being to like get them into the fence,
Oh,
because it's like a
no.
stone wall, right? And
Tink,
like the
tink,
word has definitely
tink.
traveled that this is happening. You know what I'm saying? There are a few people that are like, I hope this does not become a tradition. You know, but they're like the little kid things and whatnot that are all over the place. Think this is the like Christmas as far as like they're concerned. Like, one, they get free axes, if they get, you know, and two, like it's this whole game where they get to like peer over and like heads, and everybody ducks down, and then, you know, more axes get thrown.
Oh my god, fun for the whole city. Wow.
The older ones are like, I can see it on her shirt.
And I think like some of the older kids, like they're holding traffic on the bridges for like the period that the boat is actually in range. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, no, you don't want to come through right now. And they're like, I got an important delivery, and then like an axe goes whistling through the air, and they're like, oh wait.
Punk. Hey!
Yeah, and literally like the only like bonus is like the axe actually gets lodged in the bridge. Which, even like they're throwing them at stone is very, very few. They actually have to hit mortar. I don't think anybody present has like the upper body strength to actually like wedge it into stone. So
Runa has a bond of 3,
Clear
and
the
I don't think that's
bridge.
enough.
And then Honorine with Rosa is just like, you're moving into phases of your life that is a lot of change at once, and I just want you to know that I'm here, and I will be here for whatever you need.
They're going to need an aunt, at the very least.
I have a really good role model.
And Rosa kind of laughs at that because, yeah. And then she sits a moment and goes, "Oh bloody hell, my child is going to be snarky as fuck."
The sassiest princess of Freeburg.
I think
sorry.
that's going to be inherited. I had nothing to do with it. Sorry, what was Runa doing?
I think she's gotten down to Hannelor's level and is like aiming for the same, like still trying to see if she can get high. Like she's looking for the challenge.
And she gives Rosa
more challenging for herself.
She gives Rosa a hug and is like, "I love you" one more time, and then is like, "We should get back before they throw axes without us, or we get hit with one."
I think we're going to hit others with
one. It's like Runa's kind of preparing to like throw at the exact same time as Hannelore. Hannelore like playfully like grabs her throwing axe and then like double throws. And both axes just go wild in different ways. Like one misses the bridge below it and one misses the bridge above it. And there's like the sound of a splash. And Hannelore kind of like, she laughs and then she like looks down and she realizes like her own ankles are wet. And she's like, "Oh no."
Someone needs to get Gav now.
On the other side of the city, Gav's like, "I had the most foreboding thought."
Runa stops the ship and is making preparations.
And Hannelore kind of like lurches a little bit and she's like, wait, my wedding dress, it's at the Hall of Records.
No?
She's like, "I'm not giving birth to bastards."
She's looking for Gav's kids.
I'll go get Gav.
Honoring, okay. And Gav should be at the Hall of Records, question mark? Two birds.
Usually.
She's like, "Bring my dress. You can't bring Gav until I'm in my dress."
Rosa, could you grab everyone?
I'll go help. Yes.
Make sure he knows to be dressed. She kind of, I'm going to sit down and just sort of.
Runa helps her down.
Yeah.
She's sending runners. She's not leaving Hannelore's side.
I guess Rosa and Honorine are off to find Gav and the dress.
And
probably
the people.
Everybody else who's going to be.
And everybody else too.
I'm not giving birth to bastards. That's amazing.
So I'm going to drop the curtain on our opening there. And I'm going to read us in real quick and then we can get back to this chaos. So, thank you everyone and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Sindra. Before we get started, I want to give a content warning. While the spirit of 7th is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war of religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves. And I'm going to go ahead and start with Runa, the midwife of the scene at the moment.
Hi, I'm Ren. You found me. I am here too much. But today I'm going to be talking about our Friday game, Everyday Divinity. where Bat Kyle tortures us with his wondrous storytelling and oddly chunky descriptions. It is an amazing, if you like horror, watch it. If you don't like horror, watch it and maybe you'll like this. It's really fun. And we're like, this is what I need laptop notes. And I know I was told to write some earlier, but I could not do it on the fly.
I tried to help.
I know. So that is all from me. I'm gonna pass it on over to the groom and father-to-be imminently. Gav.
I was like, which one?
Hi, I am Bison_Stonefist. I'm a regular on this channel. I'm here 3.5 nights a week, but tonight I am going to talk about the Thursday game, which is Deviant Paradox. I call it our CW show. I did catch it this time. Thank you. I call it our CW show because it's a lot of like relationship drama and like college age shenanigans and spooky shit. And basically, it's the night of the week where Sarah gets us back for all of the times we get her to crack, and she just emotionally tortures us for 2 hours. And we're there by choice. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on. And I have a thread board for the relationship. Trust me, it makes sense. So that's what I do. Sometimes you can catch me on Nate Cat Gold Chain Live's channel, playing Call of Duty Black Ops 7 with him. He's actually playing it right now. Yes, he is. So if you think we're boring and you want to watch a bunch of late millennials be bad at video games, it's good times. I'm going to throw it over to my meat bro, Len.
Hey folks, it's me, Bat Kyle. You can find me in pretty much every game that's mentioned here in the chats, lurking and or being a menace on our wonderful Discord, one of the best places on the internet. Being a menace, I'm a menace in my sleep. It's just kind of what I do. But what I'm really here to do, besides saying I'm playing Len Costin, the guy that the world just doesn't seem to want to give any time with his wife and child to be, to talk about the game that Len is in, that we're all in right here today, which is Shadow of the Wachtturm, a just completely obvious project of love, a passion project by Siosa, something that you can tell his care and passion for the world and the storytelling in every scene, in every one of these episodes. And as I've said before, it has a cast that was intended to just be able to drop in and out whenever they wanted. Nobody had to show up every time. And we have dragged ourselves over broken glass to make it for the scene, even if we're not doing a lot that day, just to be a part of it. And it's wonderful, and we thank you. And from that, then we're going to hot potato it over to Shadow.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shadow, also known as the True Shadowmancer. And tonight I am Gerard Saint-Germain-de-Wolf, President Swashbuckler. When I am not here, you can find me hanging out in the Discord channels for Dirty 20 Gaming and the Desperate Dice Rollers. I am also involved with a number of projects throughout the week, but today I'm going to be talking about the game run by the producer of my game, Hellzones 20, and that is the Humblewood game. I almost called it the Humble Heart again. The Humblewood game on alternating Wednesdays. Right now we are on hiatus until the 15th, I believe, of July. But this is a wonderful game set in a world where the characters are all sentient animals. And it is a blast to play. Hellsounds tell a great story. And come on in and see us. I am the Tibbs, the self-proclaimed king of the road. And one of the instigators of the shenanigans. So come see us live, see us on the VOD, see us on YouTube, come see us on everything. And with that, I'm going to drop all the way to the bottom of my screen and go to Hans.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rory, again, as usual. Playing the sprinting, slashing soldier boy tonight in this awesome game. I'm gonna quickly tell all you wonderful viewers about the Tuesday game, Rise of the Temple, run by the previous introduction, True Shadowmancer or Shadow, a several decades in progress D&D world that shows. Like some of the most lore I've ever seen in a TTRPG. It's incredibly impressive. I'm playing a cat monk in that game, and I honestly, the game makes me realize how inexperienced I am when it comes to these sorts of games, because the sheer amount of information and detail in the world is insane. It's super cool. Check it out. Check out Tuesday Game. Check out all the games, obviously, because they're all awesome. We've got a ton of awesome people on this channel doing awesome stuff. And yeah, that's about it. I don't have any other awesome things to talk about because real life has happened and we've got ridiculous weather here that's fucked up my setup a little bit. So delays on cool stuff. But yeah, that is it for me. I think the only person who has not gone is Gloriosa.
Hello, I am Blaze of Glorioso, better known around here as Glory. I do produce on this channel a couple nights a week. I'm here for a lot of chaos. Most especially, or at least most relevant to my intro, I produce on Wednesdays for our Masks a New Generation game, Oracle Force, the next session of which is the 8th of July. So not this week, but next week. Where teenage superheroes make bad decisions and they blame each other for them. You can catch me in front of the camera one night a week on my own channel, streaming Graveyard Keeper, still trying to finish it, climbing that hill. And then tonight as Honorine, you can just unmute and yell, cease to cease. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Was that a note to self, girl?
No, that was what you said to me last session.
Oh. Chest. Right, I remember.
Yeah, I wrote it down after you said it to me. So anyway, back to Siosa, I think?
Sarah hasn't gone.
Oh, Sarah hasn't gone? Okay.
She was trying to slide under the radar.
We all
Why?
caught it.
Just why?
I tried.
But, like, why?
No one can do it quite like me.
I know, that's why.
But why, though? Just
It's
go.
Badachi instinct.
Yeah.
It's Badachi instinct. I've succeeded on my stealth roll.
Hey y'all, my name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I'm on this channel 5.5 nights a week, but tonight I am talking about our Monday games, which are tomorrow, of Pandora's Gift. Oh my god, I almost forgot the game name. It is the same notes, two very different cast. I am in the night cast. We are the we're bad guys. Mostly because of me. But the day and night cast, same story, two very different parties. When I'm not here, I'm working with the Tango Productions, with Scarred Adventurer, and the Watt Paper Fox on stuff and things that'll come out eventually. And now we can give it over to Siosa.
I am Siosa. I am the storyteller for this Sunday Madness. I am not playing in any games at the moment, much to my sadness. But someday I'm gonna have a hole in my schedule. I'm gonna be able to hop back in somewhere for a little while. This is Shadow of the Wachtturm. It's a first edition 7th Let's Play. And you are joining us on our 71st episode, actually, which definitely feels like an accomplishment. And if you ever want to catch up on the backlog, I think at this point there's about 300 hours of this up on YouTube. So, you know, the real long road trip. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Sarah's the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of three ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, a debacle best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, or an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight properly girded with a slur, the most dangerous of the three, and thus the most powerful. In this particular case, the slur is just the it's not a slur so much as Hannelore, like as she gets like her very first taste of like the contractions that are going to come and stuff like that, she just shouts throwing axes at the top of her lungs and kind of grabs part of her belly.
No. Maybe not right now. And Runa's gonna
just she's like, I
Let's
don't
see
know
how
a
this
lot of bad language.
The slur was actually when she's like, I'm not giving birth to bastards, and then like no other bad language for the rest of her like contraction stuff. Labor, that's the word I was looking for.
So the so I think the one who knows where the dress is Rosa, since it's actually at the dressmaker still. Since
didn't she
Gav's
say it was
babies
at the
are
Hall of Records?
yes, she did, but she was wrong.
That's fair.
She has a lot on her mind right now. But Rosa knows it because she dropped the dress off because she was there when Hannelore needed a fitting to like take the tummy of it out again. So so I think that leaves Rosa going to get the dress and Honorine going to get Gav. And
Runa's called out for runners to get everyone else.
Yeah, so I think Rosa has like she's on her way back. Like the ship is still circling, right? Like it's not going to be staying still on the river. It has to keep moving forward. So they're going to be sort of anticipating like, okay, where's the next bridge? Where's the next bridge? You know, and like moving on to it. And the dressmaker, they very rapidly come up with a solution because she still has some work to do. Does that make sense? Like she had expected to have 2 more weeks on it. So like they literally have the dress on its display, like on a cart that is being carried, like being pulled by like 2 of the kids as she works on it, and Rosa directs them as to like where to go. So it's like an impromptu little parade, you know what I'm saying? And like a few people kind of like watch the wedding dress go by, and like are like, is this a tradition? Is this like do we throw rice at it? You know, like, this is part of the throwing axes. Vestin are very strange.
Yeah, Rose is just gonna try and like be like, nope, we ah. And if I see any of the kids, it is immediately go grab everyone. Hannelore and Gava get married right now.
Everyone, you know.
Everyone.
And like the effect for Runa is that like, you know, like the very next boat that they come to, or the very next like dock that they come to, like 6 of the kids from Felix's gang jump on, and they're like, Rosa said everyone. Like they don't really have anything yet, you know. And then they go like by another dock, and like 6 more kids jump on. They're going to be forming a lot of the.
Do you know who's grabbing the council?
And they kind of like look between each other.
Is this isn't all of you? I know that.
You're like, do you think all of us are gonna fit on this boat?
Probably. She's like
There's
looking
a
around
hold.
as she's like also like checking in on Hannelore, making sure, because she probably had the wedding decorations stocked. So she's clearing up from bachelorette party and like trying to set everything up as best she can while still making sure Hannelore is okay.
So just kind of handing them some wine, like, get this off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Here, have some throwing axes. It's
Like she
wandering
for-
into the street with an armful of throwing axes.
like true to her title, she is the captain of the ship and she is delegating tasks.
All right, and yeah, and so the like as they come to like the next dock, there's like 12 kids, a cart, a dressmaker, a dress, and Rosa.
Walking to a bar.
And the dressmaker kind of like leans back and like, you know, she rings at her hand. She's like, done. Okay, you can. And like the kids start to work to lift the cart, and they're like, no, just the dress. She just needs the dress. And they quickly kind of like move it onto the ship. Rosa is able to like jump back on, and Hannelore starts to rise, and she kind of looks like she realizes like she's moving down the riverway. She has to change into a wedding dress. She's on a boat. There's not really much in privacy. Like even if everybody on the boat stood around her, like everybody's overhead. You know, like they're going to be looking down on her regardless.
Did all of us just sleep on the deck of the ship?
I was gonna ask if there was a bilge or anything.
There's probably
Viking
a cabin.
No,
long
because it's a long ship. It's like
Yeah,
it's
Viking
really
long
narrow.
ships are
Shoot.
But Runa does have control of the ship, and she can actually like try to turn the sail into a tent temporarily, so it's at least blocking overhead views.
Them doing that.
Which still leaves Hannelore blushing as she like strips off her current dress to get into the one that she's going to be getting into in front of, you know, a bunch of the gang members, but like it's a little bit less than like the city as a whole.
She chose this.
And Rosa helping her get into it, you know, like the dressmaker kind of like standing on the side. She didn't hop onto the boat, but she just shouts like, "You look so beautiful!" And then they're continuing to move the river down.
I have a question.
So, yeah.
How much wood is Freeburg made out of? Is it all stone or like a lot of wood or?
Only the most expensive houses are stone. Most everything else is wood.
Okay.
And some of the oldest, like the older the place, the more likely that there's at least to have like a stone foundation and stone base.
Okay.
But only a very, very small number of them actually have ceramic tiles for like roofs. So everything has something burnable on them.
Okay.
So, so at that point, there's going to be like kind of the slam knocking of like small hands on doors as they like, you know, are doing the urgent pounding at like the Drakken's tooth, at the captain's office for Rod, at Len's home, and at the Hall of Records where Gab is. Oh wait, no, Honorane's getting Gab, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just mental image of Gav full sprint trying to put on his formal attire. And does he have it yet?
I need to know what Honorine says to Gab though, like when she first kind of like comes in.
I think she found something to ride, a horse, donkey, particularly large cat. I don't know. So I think she
Bear.
rode up to bear. Yes. Unlucky passerby, something like that. Or lucky passerby. Anyway, so I think she rides up to the front of the Hall of Records and like slides off of the horse and kind of like goes to the door, and it's a public building, so in theory she can just go right in, or is it locked or what?
Yeah, it's a public building.
So
Hannelore might have locked it, but she actually has like enough assistance, and Gab was assumed to be there today, so it wasn't locked in the moment.
Okay, so she goes into the unlocked door and runs up to the residence and pounds the shit out of the door there, I guess.
Yeah.
Just Gav, get up.
It's like
Come on.
Felix, so if you are playing Nicky
Gav,
Nicky $9
no, Gav,
again.
come on.
What?
Handler,
is
it's
going on?
Handler. You have to come on. Handler, you're getting married right now.
What?
You're right now.
Boss?
Yes.
Boss?
Now. Get your
well-
clothes. Get your groom's clothes. Get them now.
It's like 1 second, and he's a
Oh,
couple minutes later. He's got his he's got like a frilled shirt, and the open cuffs, and he's got a bangle around where his Cernith hand meets his meat. So the actual
Sorry.
Yeah, I realized I phrasing that really quick there. But yeah, where it meets the stump, and so it's kind of like tastefully, yeah, that doesn't help either. Tastefully covered.
I'm sorry, I was thinking that's not better, but I kept it inside
Yeah,
thought. But
yeah.
apparently my
And
face said it out loud.
question to Siosa, does he have it yet, or is this still too early?
Which does he have? The
The piece,
Draconizen?
yeah.
The Draconizen has been completed and provided to him by the Nicolai.
Okay, yeah. So, and then he's got walks out with a breastplate of Draconizen and a Panzer hand on his other hand that he's actually just placed at his side because he doesn't really need it right now. He's getting married, and Honorine can see that he is like high key panicking. He's just like, why is she asking me to do this in the middle of the freaking night? I thought they were on a boat having fun. Why am I getting married now? What is going on?
It's not the middle of the night. It is the middle of the day. They started their day drinking.
Oh, they started day drinking. Day beers day.
I think the Vestin do like if Runa were to guess, the Vestin do it all day.
24/7.
Yeah, okay. Day beers. Yeah. So he's hopping out of the little shared room that him and Hannelore have. And he's just like hopping out as he's like pulling boots on.
Gav is very fast with very long legs. So Honorine gets back on her horse and is just basically like she's like kind of thrown whatever jacket or whatever he's got like kind of over the front of the saddle, and she's like keeping pace with him as she like hands him pieces to put on. And she's explaining as she goes, like, we were doing axe throwing and it was fantastic. And then next thing I look over, Hannelore is saying that it's time and she wants to get married before it's time. So we came to get you, and now we're going to the place where the wedding is happening so that you can be married before the babies come.
Yeah,
because the babies are coming.
As she's saying that, and it's his brain starts to process. You see his eyes get wider and wider and wider.
Do not pass out.
And he's
Gav, do not pass out.
He's picking up the pace as quickly as you can. You can hear him swearing under his breath. Just, oh shit, 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 oh shit.
And distantly from the
The
river.
only slurs happening today.
What did you say, Siosa?
I said distantly from the river. There's a
all in the same day. If he had any hair, it'd be falling out right now.
And like they like get to like the first dock, and like the boat has sort of like just gone by, and like some of the people on the boat are like, it's Gav, and like Hannelore is still mid like getting the dress on. It's a small feat. And she's like, next dock.
Okay.
Like one of the kids on the boat like just shouts like, next dock.
This way.
The whole process of like running along the riverside over again.
Skid.
Setting up probably like little things for the wedding that she built. And like all the rest of the decorations.
So switching over to our other characters, like Hans, Gerard, Len, all of them have had like a child that's kind of like appeared as like wedding happening, babies happening, on the boat.
That's
axes.
Great for Len
Who's
to
baby?
hear.
Len's like, whose baby? Whose wedding?
We're not specific.
And so Len throws on his nicest clothing just in case. And books it.
the kid by that point, he's gotten the information like third hand, so he just knows council member pregnant, your council
Unclear.
pregnant mode.
Let's look. I'm not taking chances on this one.
Instructions unclear. Preparing.
Yeah.
So he is also hopping his way into like nice clothes and down the street and
Yep. Yep.
Owl in a tux.
Gerard, how is he handling the news? Like he's getting the same sort of like this was a panicked message that was clearly not much time to be given to it.
I'm a bit confused at the moment. What boat? Where? There's a river full of boats.
And
What boat? Sorry, I'm gonna mute
the
now.
the kid kind of like just runs right off.
Right. I don't know who to ask. Mademoiselle, where is your daughter today?
Who is he asking of? Jemay?
Oui.
She says there was a bachelorette party on the Revenge today.
Apparently, there is also now a wedding on the same boat.
And Jemay,
A
her eyebrows
baby?
shoot up.
On the baby. So,
She's like, oh, she's in, oh. Yeah, she turns back into the Sice to Sice household and claps her hands. And like, there's like a kind of the assembly of like 30 different Sice to Sice women. she's like, ladies, dresses, we have a wedding to get to.
The army mobilizes.
very well. I will be ready as soon as you are.
Yeah, and she is dressing herself in like remarkable speed. By the time she's finished, the kid has come back and he's like, pirate ship. It's on a pirate ship.
What is the proper etiquette for a wedding on a pirate ship?
He's like, booty?
Not to tell deceased women this. It would be chaos.
And Jemay appears with like parasol over her shoulder, full like you got a picture. This is full like 1700 French Parisian dress that she's in. Like I'm sure our producer like can find a picture of it. But like this is probably the pinnacle of what people would consider like fancy dress attire, you know what I'm saying? And as Gerard is saying that, Jemay is kind of like, don't tell us what?
Pirate ship. But the Revenge. Gerard is now in his dress military.
And Jemay like takes his arm and like just kind of presumes that he's happy to be her escort to this thing. And like the Montaigne women, it's like parasols out, a whole another parade of like bright colors and stuff like that are like making their way towards the docks. As the people of Isaac and Freeburg are just like, what is going on today?
It's a celebration.
And yeah, and like there are people that are coming to the balcony just sort of like to wave at them because like the Sice do not travel as a group very often, and definitely not dressed like this. But it is definitely kind of like made it prestigious just by virtue of the fact that they're coming along. And they get to a dock and just kind of like wait there, like the boat's gonna come by eventually. And Jemay, she says, a marriage on a boat. She says, I'm not sure if there's going to be music. She says, but if there is, will you save me a dance on your car?
Of course, it would be my honor.
And she smiles and she kind of like turns to like like one of one of the kids, and she's like, she kneels down and she says, "Go to the Drakenest where there's all of those unemployed musicians." She says, "Tell them that the Sice to Sice will be paying every musician that's willing to play atop a bridge throughout the city." And she hands him a bag of coins as like payment. He kind of like looks at it and just like zooms off, like heading towards the Drakenest to go employ every unemployed musician at the moment to add some musical accompaniment. Hans is greeted with the same kind of, panicked hammering, the same sort of like breathy, like, uh, party became a wedding on the boat.
Oh. Huh? How? Wait. Ugh.
Party,
Scheiße. How far
the
down the
Dover
river are they?
party. And now, what?
Oh, keep all my fancy shit at home. Ugh. Okay, go. Tell whoever else you have to tell. I'll go.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and the moment the door closes, Logan starts like quickly redressing. It's like, you just have to put a uniform on. You'll look dashing. I need it.
I have to go find my sister and sprinting time. He's running
This is,
around.
what Hans is
Leg
known
day!
for.
Mm-hmm.
So, is he? Is he having the Wakund attend as well?
I think so. At least like a couple of them in like proper military dress.
Probably a few officers. He can also he has hundreds of troops under his command at this point. He can have them showing up, at least like lining the walls to cheer and whatnot. And,
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick actually. Have them like up along the bridges and wherever else. Yeah.
all right. Logan, uh, he's running off himself. He is not the leg day that Hans is, you know what I'm saying? But he's clearly intending to at least get just enough to like honor the occasion and stuff like that. So, you hear him like, "I thought I had more time." Then we cut back to the boat, where Honolulu's like, "I thought I had more time." Finally, kind of like getting all of the buttons done up and
Gav at the bridge. I thought we had more time.
and her eyes kind of go wide and she's like, "I don't have my vows ready."
And I think in the pain she's in, she cannot think very well. So Runa is going to kneel down in front of her and grab her hands. "We're going through this together. I don't think I'll be having kids of my own. So I don't mind going through this once."
Yeah, and Runa's ability to kind of like absorb pain, like she can tell that like at this stage, her pain is not enormous. Does that make sense? Her panic is through the roof, but like she's probably going to have several more hours before she's actually like giving birth, like based on the amount that she's in. She's also does not have the highest pain tolerance. Like she's been a librarian and a scholar for most of her life, and her idea of like a bad pain is like when she stubs her toe really hard or drops a scroll on her foot or
So oh, sorry, you go.
so which isn't to say she isn't up to the task. It's just like she's going to be rapidly acquiring a different understanding of it. Does that make sense as time goes on?
It's just Runa is like taking some of that pain and also just being like, "You got like, just say things and keep what you want, discard what you want. You can do this."
She's like, she kind of forces herself to her feet in her dress, just for like one kind of like last assessment, which she looks very maternal. She looks very beautiful, and she's still nervous about it. She kind of turns back and forth and runs her hands over her belly with like a certain self-consciousness.
You look gorgeous.
And from like where Felix has gotten onto the boat before Gav, he like kind of turns to one of the other like young gang members that are on it and is like, 5 Gilder, Gav won't be able to talk for at least 2 minutes. And the other kid is like, they do like a little fist bump handshake on it. So I'm just gonna say, Gav and Len and Gerard and Hans, I want you to all roll a d10. In the order that you roll, lowest first is the order that you're gonna be able to get onto the boat, just by virtue of the randomness of like where it's passing by.
Watch, I'm gonna fucking roll, and it's gonna be an exploding 10.
Got to be a 5 or a 9 following this pattern. Jesus.
7.
Okay.
Roll off. Actually, I guess Hans and Gab get there
They're
at
just
the
on the same
time.
dock. Like,
Yeah.
I think Hans and Gav arrive at the same dock. Len arrives first to discover, he's probably to his relief, he sees Hannelore in the wedding dress.
Yeah, he just like jumps onto the boat. He's like, "Oh, hi, sweetie." The kid wasn't clear on who was giving birth and what wedding was happening, so just in case.
So
How you
I'm
feeling?
curious, does Len have like a fancy suit over one arm and his own like best man or like groomsman suit over the other, like I needed options kind of thing? Or
No, he threw on like there was no time to grab everything from the severity, so he threw on his like wedding outfit.
He forgot pants.
No, he grabbed
No,
the
I thi-
assless ones by accident. It's
Those are the honeymoon pants.
yeah, those are the honeymoon pants ones.
Rosa has the preview of like what Len's gonna look like at their wedding.
Mhm.
It's like I'll get something else. Sorry, I felt better safe than sorry on this one.
It's all right. I think Gav's gonna need you more today, though.
Oh yeah, where is the big guy? I figure he would have plowed through walls to get here before me.
Oh yeah.
Smashes through some innocent person's house, and he's at the next dock. He's like, "Oh shit, they're not here yet." Sorry.
Yeah, I think there's like a moment where like Gav sees a bridge and is kind of contemplating like it's only like a 20-foot drop down to the ship. And Hans is like, there is a dock right there, sir.
It's like, it's a few feet that way, dude.
He does that thing where he doesn't make the, you can't see it on his face, but you can see his indecision in his feet. Or he seriously considers it like twice.
He's doing the tippy tap dance that cats do.
A little bit, yeah. And then he finally is like, what? It's like, what if she gives birth before? It's a whole bunch of like what ifs that he never actually finishes as he's sitting there waiting.
Honorane's just gonna reach over.
Faster you
Still
get
on the
to
horse,
boat, the
so
sooner
she's
you
like,
have all your answers. Get your pants a hand on, man.
I think Hans is like the one person with the physical strength to actually kind of like move Gav when Gav has his feet planted a little bit. So
He walks the panzer hand onto the stern of him. Is like, no, we're going this way.
still on the horse, Honorine reaches over and just sort of like pats Gav on the shoulder. She's still on the horse because it's the only way she can reach his shoulder.
So yeah, there's like a little like moment at the next stop where like Honorine is probably helped onto the boat by Hans. Gav like steps on. Hannelore gets her like first sight of him, and there's like a whole wave of tension that kind of goes out of her at like the sight of like Gav being there. Like he could have showed up in like plain clothes and a t-shirt, and you know what I'm saying, it'd be just as much of a relief.
Gav's cheeks are the same color as his hat.
Yeah, and she kind of like forces herself to stand again, and like her words all run together. She's like, I'm so sorry, I know the plan was later, but nobody told the twins.
He cuts her off and just plants a big one right on her lips.
Yeah,
Where's the
she,
cardinal?
like a few of the kids are kind of like,
Oh,
ew.
yeah.
But there's plenty of others. Like the kiss is still ongoing as they get to the next dock where Jemay and Sherrod and the size to size are, and like the ew reaction from the kids is immediately replaced by like an oh from all the size to size women who many of their lives have been about getting married. Like it's a preoccupation for them, and the boats start crowding. And there's also like starting to be like people are pushing rowboats out that are like docked onto nearby and just sort of like joining them along the river and kind of like using oars to like row along, and like one or two guests are getting onto some of them like where there's no longer the space to like fit on the Revenge as it starts to like slowly fill the river. And others look like they're getting their boats ready for the same purpose, like trade boats or whatnot, to sort of like, what is all this commotion? We're going to see, oh, there's people that are like willing to pay to just ride along with this.
Wedding
um
flotilla.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically, like it's an impromptu armada of ships that are totally not equipped for war. But and it allows some transition to like, okay, you're on the main boat, we need you gang kids to like go onto this other boat. um there's one kid that's like near the end of it like, when do we throw the axes?
No, thank you.
Not yet, not yet.
Just confetti. They can be
Aww.
axe-shaped.
All right, so and Honolulu, like after the kiss finally breaks, she's like, you look so handsome.
He just smiles. Felix was right. He utterly speechless.
And like Felix is kind of counting on his hands, and like after a certain point, he just kind of like points at the other kid, and the other kid's like, "Damn it!" um,
Gerard looks about the boat. Where's the officiant?
the captain.
Naval wedding.
And the captain.
And Gav is. I don't know how much he remembers this in the moment, but part of the promise that he had made to Mab was that they would be away from the city on the boat.
Oh.
Yeah, the Fae.
No,
gonna dash him
I don't
about.
remember. No, I don't remember that part. I do remember it being on the water.
Yeah, and
Okay.
well, I think he has enough
Being-
awareness now to know that like they need to be away from the tower.
That's right. Because of the
Because
Wachtturm itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That'll be
yeah, I
like,
think
hey,
he would have shared that with Runa for sure, just to like
We're already
as
on the
part of
way.
the. Sorry, yeah, with Runa, yeah. So yeah, I think you'd be waiting for them to like even just enough to like leave the city limits because I think that's what the Selkie told us.
Mhm.
Yeah, is like being outside the city is fine, but even as close as crossing the walls is too much. So yeah, he would, as they make their way outside the city, I guess.
Okay. So, I think it's probably kind of up to Runa to decide like at what point she's going to start officiating everything. Hanalor definitely has like a tight grip on her hand, but with Runa's age, she's able to like stand throughout the ceremony, which she's going to be appreciative of.
Len will organize the bros on the groom's side. Okay, come on, everybody over here. Gav, come on. Gav.
Yeah,
She's not going far. Gav, over here.
And with a group that has been so acclimated to responding to chaos, but high stakes chaos, that when it becomes sort of like low stakes chaos, it's very smooth. Like it's important to Gav, it's important to Hanalor, but like, if some roses fall off the side of the boat, they're gonna live, right? And things kind of begin to smooth out, and suddenly they're sort of, they're sailing through the area that's like just outside of Freiburg that was once filled with tents of hungry people, and are now like the grass is starting to grow, wildflowers are starting to grow along the banks. There are trees overhead that are providing the occasional shade, and the sky is clear and blue and gorgeous, and all of the sort of gray slurry of winter is forgotten. There's the water is peaceful. It's not flowing as hard as it did in the immediate like post winter when all of the ice melted. It's a little bit smoother. There's people standing. There's an idyllicness that, in the chaos of it all coming together, seemed impossible to predict. And it just, Runa with even she can tell like this is the perfect time to get started.
And she
So
will.
you don't have to have a whole like officiation and whatnot, but like whatever
Thank
words she
God,
wants to
because I
say,
thought we had more time. We are joined here today to witness the marriage of Hannelore and Gav. Let's get started with vows. I haven't been to a wedding since I was like 8.
Gav, he gets down on one knee. He takes the Panzer hand off, and so he can actually, touch Hannelore with his flesh, and he looks at her and he says, I never thought in all of my days that I would be marrying the most beautiful woman in Eisen. I had a speech for these. I had vows, but I left them at the Hall of Records.
And Hannelore like laughs at that, and she's laughing through tears that are in no way like coming from pain.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I thought love was something for stories, it was something for children's tales. And the first time I saw you in the Hall of Records, my heart went fast and my tongue went dry. She says, just like it has every day that I've seen you since then.
You are my heartbeat, Hannelore Orhoff. And I would not be half the man I am today if you did not kiss me.
And she just steps forward and wraps her arms around his neck and kisses him. And I think Jamae kind of clears her throat and looks at Runa like, maybe we'll just say the words now.
You may now kiss the bride.
And she turns bright pink and then red with like the amount of like applause that goes up. And Felix kind of like he gives Runa a little like poke in the hip, and he's like, slow the boat down, slow the boat down. And he kind of like points to where there's like a horse racing along the bank.
And she'll slow down.
And she sees like Logan like fully dressed, like waving a hat. And there's a sort of like moment of him going from like little rowboat to rowboat, getting over to like the main ship and then arriving late, and he's like, did I miss this ceremony?
The ceremony happened really fast.
He kind of smiles, and says, well, he says, let me lead everyone in a third round of congratulations. Starts like applauding, and and it's coming like from all over the place, like both from like soldiers and little child gang members and Sice to Sice family members, and people just from Freiburg that chose to like, this is fun, we're coming along. Near the back, like one of the kids throws two tomahawks, or not two throwing axes, like out onto the banks. And, like some of the other kids cheer. Like it's a little anticlimactic after what they've been hoping for, but and Hannelore she starts to sink, and then there's a moment as the ship like seems to pass through sunlight, and there's a void that sort of surrounds it, and as they sail down the river, instead of like the daylight, there's starlight. And the ring that is on Hannelore's finger, the one that has like the black pearl that was given by Mab herself, seems to glimmer in reflection of it. And I think Gerard probably has no frame of reference for any of this. Nor do most of the people that are on the boat. But they see a woman with dark purple skin, and part of the skin kind of like below her bosom level and like across her hips is wet and black and sleek. And they can see the undulation of tentacles in the water. She herself, like when she rises up and out, she stands taller than the figurehead, although she's not dominating the entire ship in and of itself. And for a moment, she just like sits there. And for those who were at the party before, they kind of understand that like she's just basking in the experience of the emotions that she's feeling here, the joy, the love, the contentment. Like she doesn't consume it. Does that make sense? But she is fed by it. And she puts a hand on the figurehead, and which is also sort of like sustained somewhat by her magic. You know what I'm saying? Like the ability for it to steer itself and everything like that was a gift that Map gave it. And she looks at Gab and she says, I cannot remember so precious an offering.
And he just smiles and he's like, I am glad you could make it.
She says, I'm glad you could get here.
And it's
And
like
she kind of
he's like, Hannelore, this is Queen Mab.
And Mab kind of floats alongside part of the boat, and she leans toward and she kind of offers a hand to Hannelore's. And Hannelore takes it. There's kind of like a momentary pain that like flickers across her face as like another contraction hits. And Mab, she leans in and she says, you have given me a great gift. She says, so I offer a blessing in return. And she kisses Hannelore's hand, and Hannelore kind of shudders, like some sort of like magic passes through her, but it's not obvious what it is or what it does. And then she kind of comes up and she looks through the crowd and she looks directly at Honorine. And Honorine, do you want to describe what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, when Mob appeared, Honorine kind of remembered like her pendant. At first she was like in awe of Mob and was like, oh my goodness, she's so pretty, oh my gosh. And then like she tugged out her pendant and kind of closed her hand around it, and kind of focused really hard on the connection with the Shadow Man, with Mob's brother, and kind of focuses on sort of drawing him here for the moment as well.
There is a moment as you kind of like it appears to every glance that like they're no longer on a river, but they're actually like on an ocean, with like the moon overhead, the stars in every direction, and they're on the water. There's a distant shadow that looks like a man, but also like a tree. In I'm gonna blank on what are the trees that grow in water that their roots are actually like
Mangroves.
Cypress.
Groves.
thank you, mangroves. Like the from his feet, it looks a lot like mangrove roots, except it's like the dark black leafless kind of trees that are also sprouting up from his shoulders and his arms. And she looks across the water at him and then back at Honorine, and she says, "Thank you."
She curtsies.
And Hans and Honorine both can feel that shadowy figure's gaze on them. And they watch as like Mab kind of pushes off from the boat and she swims through it and kind of comes up in the water over by the trees that are just, you know, like the tree man whose roots are in the water itself. And across the water distantly, the two of them are dancing together. They're just sort of like moving through like a wedding waltz kind of thing.
That's so sweet.
And the in front of the boat, everything kind of splits open again, and then once again, there's flowered fields, there's sunlight, there's clouds as you pass out of this place. And Runa, holding Hanalor's hand, can tell that like the pain of the contractions that we're going through her is like minimal now. Like she can feel them, she's aware of them. There's no danger she's gonna like, but like the agony of them is lessened.
How far apart?
Just, I don't know the ratio and whatnot. But as a person of like medical ability that she has, Hanalor has about 2 hours before she's going to be like in the throes of labor.
Okay. This is good for her to know.
So they turn around, and as they're heading back into the city, because it is wise to get her to a place where she can deliver it a little bit more safely. You know, they're passing under bridges where musicians are playing. Every bridge is different song. There was no like agreement about like it's going to be this one tune playing throughout the city. As they're making their way to Steinhall, to, you know, doctor's offices where she can more safely be delivered, or to their home. It's kind of Gavin Hanalor's choice.
I think whichever is most expedient.
It's probably the Hall of Records is the most expedient.
Mm.
So is Runa delivering a baby today?
She's delivering
Okay.
2. Gav's got twins.
Yes, indeed.
So, I'm not going to require a medicine check for it, and I'm not of the mind to like put Hanalor at risk for like she's been blessed by Mob. So
Runa's good at what she does.
yeah, so we kind of cut forward the impromptu insanity of all of this. Like the city has just sort of like started throwing apart. Like people are putting out food. They're like, we'll figure out why eventually, but like the spirit is just sort of like taken over everything. Does that make sense? Like there were parades and weirdness, and there were throwing axes, and and they're kind of seeing all of that as, you know, Hanalor is Gav carrying her directly into Hall, like once the contractions worsen and stuff. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's not gonna make her walk.
I think Runa's running in front of them, getting people to move out of their way.
So yeah, and I don't, just to answer what's kind of happening in the Zoom chat, like Rosa's not feeling any like sympathy contractions or anything.
I think
She's
it
not
meant when the time comes.
I'm not doing this split. Get over here, squeeze.
And it's about 2.5 hours later that a very tiny wrinkled human is put into Gav's arms. And he can, still hear the sounds of effort from within. You know what I'm saying? Well, one tiny being is in his arms.
Gav is awestruck. Like he's taken off his nice clothes by this point. He's had time. And he's sitting there in just regular, shirt and breeches, and he's just, they're so small.
Honorine is cooing like a madwoman at this little child.
Yeah, Gav's sitting on the floor so everybody can get a good look at his new child.
Absolutely losing her shit.
Logan is right next to her, like,
That clipped out. Your voice went high enough that Zoom was like, nope.
oh. Logan is right next to her, like, look at the baby.
Yeah, just tears freely streaming down his face.
What did you guys decide on for a name?
Is it a boy or a girl?
Unclear.
The quick check, they have a boy.
He's gonna name his son Roland.
Okay. And it is about another half hour later that Hannelore very stiffly makes her way out. Actually, I think she's probably being pushed in a chair. I think they even had a wheelchair from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I recall somebody was confined to one for healing for some time, so she is being pushed out in it with a matching baby boy. And she just looks up to Gav like, look what we did.
Yeah, he's absolutely awestruck. I can't think of a name for the second kid. I thought you were going to go
They're
with
both
boy and girl.
Roland.
Yeah, they're both Denalor.
Rolling backwards.
Yeah. Kelby.
Okay.
Oh my
god. And yeah, she with that, she's kind of like, I need to go sleep.
You did good today. Look at them.
She's like, I got naked in front of half the city.
Desperate times.
She says, oh no, I'm proud of it.
Good. You should be.
She's like, today I discovered it is not possible to actually die of embarrassment. She's like, I didn't ever think that I could be this happy. But she's soon kind of nodding off in the chair and I think
Runa's gonna get her to bed.
When they go to get Gav, they find that he's actually fallen asleep with his son in his arms. His butt's going to be super sore in the morning because he's fallen asleep on marble, but, he don't care.
I think Logan kind of looks to Hans and Gerard and we can get some pillows under him, right? Between the three of us.
Yeah. Len will help too. He's got a strength of 5, so he should be able to.
Yeah.
If Len works, then we can slave them up.
Yep.
I think Len and Hans alone are just scoop. Put him in bed next to Hannelore.
Like moving a big bear cub.
So that leaves us with about an hour left today. And I think we've kind of established, what Gab's doing for the next little while. But I want to give other people the chance to kind of like have some downtime. This is a period in which you have some chance to work on your own concerns. Before I'm going to jump to Gerard in a minute, but I also want to give a chance for Rosa. We can assume this is later, a day or a few days later. However, um, I want to hear the conversation about the ceramics factory that we kind of had beforehand.
Yep.
And just have it like on camera. So
Rosa's gonna go to Honorine. Have you heard about this ceramics factory left by Charlotte?
I know of it. I think it currently belongs to her husband.
Who is also imprisoned?
Yes, but I don't think he's been stripped of his belongings yet, since he hasn't been tried.
It's for sale.
Oh,
I was thinking of buying it and getting it a bit better. Get it back to what it should have been.
another ceramics factory?
An actual ceramics factory.
Oh, because it wasn't actually making ceramics.
It was, but it also wasn't. It was also doing that seedy, disgusting. Yeah. And I actually want to help people. She did employ a lot of people who still need to get paid for their work.
Back to work.
And I wanted to know if you wanted to buy it
Yes.
or even join me.
Yes. Yes.
Yay! All right, so I've already put down the down payment. And I will have you join on with me.
All right. I don't think I've ever been part of a business before.
I've actually been buying up a couple of places to help people get their starts like I did.
Oh. Are you going to be the new Redmond Earhart?
No, that is what I was worried about you all thinking. No, 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 no.
And she just gives Rosa a hug when she reacts like that. You could never.
Because she's absolutely like, oh no.
You could
I
never.
did, though, buy the leaky. I did buy the leaky jugs, though, since they helped me so much when I first moved here.
Good. Good.
all right.
Honorane's just like, I'm a business owner? No? Question mark.
Business owner, writer, yeah.
It's
Quite the
funny
accomplished
because like
woman
as
now.
a noblewoman, she's not supposed to do any of those things because
No.
they're supposed to be beneath her station.
Absolutely not.
But like,
It's like, what am I going to tell my aunt?
This is gentry work.
So cutting over to Gerard, there's, like I think we talked about it before that there was like a lot of sacrifice that was made like during the White Plague and whatnot. I don't know if you were there for the day we went over like the numbers. Yeah, you were.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. But in the wake of things, Finer Hearth wasn't the hardest hit, but it was one of the hardest hit. And the largest amount of like people that have been resettling into Finer Hearth that have come from despair, it's getting more influx than any other place. Which means that there's just a lot of kind of like turmoil. There's a lot of people adapting and settling in and kind of getting used to the customs and the culture. There's a distinct sort of like group of people who identify more as Verzweiflung, like the despair place, than they do as like Finer Hearth members, and still have the kind of attitude of like, if you take food from a child, you get got. And the protectiveness of those that they view as like their people, which Gerard has seen enough in his travels to know eventually that goes poorly. Eventually that becomes, like a sub-district, which is it either becomes like the dominant thing in its area, or it becomes like the Warrens of its area, unless there's some acclamation, unless they're kind of viewed as much finer Hearthians as everybody else, and the despair folks choose to view themselves as finer Hearthians. On top of which, just because they moved in doesn't mean that they have a lot of money. So crime is on the rise. Even Felix's little gang is sort of being hard pressed, because there are other people with criminal ambitions that have a whole district that they view as being ruled by a child gang, and they think that's not a great idea.
Right. First thing we need to do is to make sure that there are no gang wars. So we're going to make sure these new criminal elements trying to move in are given the impression that they're not wanted. Go apply your trade in another district.
What is the method that Gerard is taking to go about that?
What type of elements are trying to move in?
So the people that are here that are kind of like leaning towards crime are leaning towards crime because that was how they learned to survive in Verzweiflung.
Right.
Does that make sense? They are not people who came in with criminal ambitions. They are people who forced to develop them because they had no opportunities. So they're petty thieves. They're small scale extortionists. They'll
Well-
shake down small businesses and that kind of thing.
This
They-
district, sorry,
One more thing, but they all have backgrounds prior to that. They were farmers, or they worked small trades in rural towns. Like they had existences, but when they come to the city, one, there's no farms for them to work here, right?
right.
And so those who have like kind of talents for like a small town, they might be finding work as an apprentice, whereas like in their old town, they were the town's blacksmiths. They might not have been a master in like the sense of like the best out there, but they have the difficulty of like, but I'm not a novice.
Right. But they were big fish in small ponds, and now they're in a bigger pond.
And by virtue of like the scale of Freiburg, it's something like, yeah, the blacksmith that's in like a local town, he might have made like 100 nails in a year, and like the blacksmith that is in the merchant's quarter, he's trying to put out 100 a week.
So they're coming into this district because of the losses in this district. Even though there's now availability for them to live, the people who passed away, those jobs are still needing to be filled. So that is what we're going to work at, filling those positions with the people coming in. Yes, they might have been the master blacksmith in their small town. Yes, they might have to apprentice to a blacksmith or alter their blacksmithing skills to fill another role that needs to be filled, such as you may have made nails, but the weaponsmith over here needs somebody to learn how to do what he does. And in process of learning that, you're going to make more money. We're
Um,
trying to find ways to pair these folks up with where their skills are to where they need to be filled, or how to alter their skills to fill these holes.
so during this era is the rise of guilds as a social force, right? The Vendel are the ones who really figured it out, but most of the guilds at this point are kind of considered to be Vendel guilds, right? So even though they're wood carvers and they're in Montaigne and filled with Montaigne like wood carvers, the head of the guild is still a Vendel, and they're still operating out of Vendel. It is possible that they could work with the Merchants Quarter to say, look, we have a lot of laborers who could really use some training at this point and some improvement in their skills. And they also have a large group of people who are farmers who have never been considered a skilled labor. They have a skill. Farming isn't easy. But as far as the city goes, they are unskilled labor. So he can focus like on looking for more opportunities for unskilled labor, or he can focus on those who have a skill set and possibly like pairing them with like the Vendel guilds and seeing if they can find apprenticeship there, etc. Or third option, like trying to see if they can create like some small scale local freebird guilds.
I was going to combine 2 and 3. One is we need to get these folks into where their skills can be used. That will encourage the unskilled to work on their skills. We need to work with the guild leaders. Yeah, they're operating out of other locations, but they're going to need, for lack of a better term, a regional office here. So they'll need people who develop those skills, or as you said, mini guilds.
Well, they do have regional offices in the Merchants Quarter of Cardwell because that's a Vendel district. And they could be trying to kind of like send them that way, or they could be trying to like I guess the question is, are they trying to work with the existing Vendel guild structure, or is he trying to help them like strike out on their own, or is that something that he's going to focus on like later, and right now he's going to focus on the unskilled ones?
Starting working with the Vendel guild structure, and then if it needs to be adapted to a more Eisen work ethic, then that's what we'll do. But let's start with one where we can get them working, get them an income, get them a way to provide for their families, and then adapt as we need to.
And that this is going to be the strangest subplot I've ever run in a game because it's about currency. But so
hey, you're city building, so
so the issue that many of the Eisen have in working for the Vendel guilds is the guild rules include things like using the guilder, which I've described as like it's the Vendel currency, it's the first paper currency, etc. Most of Eisen still use marks though, which is a metal currency, right? And the Vendel have been on a steady campaign to basically remove every kind of currency that isn't their own. They want the guilder to be standard in every nation. And so the guilds have been their muscle to do that. And to say, we pay out in guilder, we accept payment in guilder. If you don't have guilder, you have to go through an exchange. That exchange inevitably devalues the currency that it's being exchanged from. So, like, for the Eisen, many of them are resisting the idea of joining the Vendel Guild because it literally instantly devalues their work in their mind.
how many of these Eisen are of a mercantile mind who understand money and exchanges?
Of the ones that are coming in, like 2. Like because those ones who have like understood enough of it, like to know what's going on. It's actually probably one of the ones who's like breaking down the problem to Gerard of like, when we exchange it, we go from having 100 marks to having 80 guilder, and like that 80 guilder only spends like 80 marks.
Right. So here's what we do. First, we have to learn their system. Then this is your district. If you set up your guilds in this district to only accept marks, you create a competition for their currency. And you reverse that exchange. Then who gets devalued faster? If the entirety of the city is still using marks and only that district is using the guilder, who has the advantage?
And that's going to require, so there's going to be some kind of campaigns of persuasion involved with that. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of artisans and merchants who would be happy to like just be using the Eisen system. Does that make sense? Even some of them who kind of like paper money, they don't really like that whole guilder exchange rate thing. So all of this is going to serve as sort of a backdrop for, I'm going to want you to make some rolls to like be raising standards in Feinhard. We have for the district, I believe when we last did this, we had raised the rating of its security and safety to 2, its wealth to 2, its criminal influence to 2, and its occult influence was remaining at a 1. But there is one thing I want to check with that because I think I might have made notes directly on the map. No, I don't think I updated the map. Okay, so yeah, but I believe we'd raised the security and safety. So in doing this, he's going to seasonally, he's getting a chance to kind of like raise its ratings based on the skill set that he can bring to bear. Raising any of them is going to be improving the city, but like Rosa and everybody investing and stuff like that, that's also going to be giving bonuses to this area, improving its wealth. So I want you to prioritize of the 4, which is the greatest priority for him to sort of raise. Criminal influence and occult influence are actually the opposite. He's lowering them. Does that make sense?
Right.
And an occult influence of 1 is like it does not bottom out to 0. Felix and his game have a criminal influence of 2, which is to say they're widespread, but they're not particularly malicious. Does that make sense? They're not trying to skin the sheep, so to speak. They're just trying to shear a little to get by here and there. But every time we do this, there is a chance that the criminal and or the occult influence grows. But they should be seen as a malignancy.
You said occult, criminal, security. What's the other one?
So if you open the map of Feinerhard that's over on the side, it's going to show 4 ratings: wealth, security and safety, criminal influence, and occult influence.
Hold on. See all the letters. Maps, here we are.
Yeah, here. I need to update this with a picture of Gerard instead of Hans as well.
Okay, now I see it. Got it. Wealth, security, and safety.
Yeah.
Oof.
And that one shows a 1 for security and safety, but it's actually a present at 2.
2. All right.
So what I want you to do is tell me your priority of what is his priority to grow, what is his, and in order, or if he's picking criminal or occult, he's suppressing the hardest effectively.
All right. Order right now would be to help raise the wealth, then security and safety. I'm really not trying to suppress the criminal influence because right now I think it is at a level where it'll stabilize. As I've said before, Gerard understands there needs to be some level of criminal influence for the balance. And if it can be kept low while raising the wealth and safety, the people will be more willing to overlook the petty crimes like the children.
So my view on the criminal influence is that the lower the rating is, the more the criminal system acts sort of in concert with the well-being of the society as a whole. Does
Oh,
that make
okay.
sense? So, so like the criminal influence, when it gets to like a 5, it's sort of like that criminal group is not cooperative and is out for themselves. Does that make sense? So there is always going to be a criminal group. The lower it is, the more likely it is to be providing sort of valuable services, like it might be like smuggling things that people are buying. It's, you know, when it's really high, it's doing things like this person can be a slave. We can sell them off, that kind of thing. So
Uh,
does
so
that change? Suppressing a cult influence acts in the form of like monster hunting, looking for people doing weird magical shit, you know, signs of weirdness. It doesn't, like, not all mystical things are bad, but occult influence is the curtailing of bad mystical things
okay.
in a world that does have monsters and magic.
So based on what has happened in the city in the past, I'm going to try and keep curtailing the occult influence as much as possible.
Okay. So
So
wealth,
that
security, occult, and criminal in that order?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you roll your enforcer plus your I'll hear a case for any attribute actually at this point.
I'm going to put my wits into this because this is really it's outside of Gerard's comfort zone, but he understands needing to step forward to do this. So he's really having to think through the scenarios, the possibilities, looking for the pros and cons of each decision that he's trying to make along the way.
and having some amount of shell shock of like, I am a swordsman and I'm helping to mediate on currency exchanges.
Exactly. I mean, I was a sergeant. I had worked with small groups. Now it's an entire district that I have to expand this thing to.
Okay, so I'm gonna have that be the role, and how it's going to work is that I've been experimenting with different systems for this as I go. And this is kind of the latest iteration of it. So it's a little different than what I did before with Hans. So how it's going to go is that the total of your role is going to be divided across the points that you have. So you can, so like, let's say you roll like a 30. If you get 15 points and you put them into wealth, that wealth rating can go to a 3. Same with the security and safety. You, and then like another 10 points and you can lower the criminal influence to a 1, and you don't have to do anything for cult influence at this point. Does that make sense? But I will be making a roll to see if it improves itself after the fact.
Right. That does
Does
make
that make
sense.
sense? So if you roll phenomenally high, it's possible that he's helping out in such a way that like a wealth level moves more than once, but it's unlikely to do so with.
All right, and this is my wits plus my enforcer, keeping my wits. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So 36 is my total.
Okay. So now you can, because I asked you for the priority, that means that it goes in that priority. So the first 15 points goes into wealth and it raises it to a 3. The next 15 points goes into the security, which raises it to a 3. Does that make sense? It's the rating it's going to, as opposed to the rating it's at.
Right.
That leaves 6 points left over, which is not enough to lower the criminal influence. It's basically holding steady. And then I'm going to roll both of those negative influences to see if there's growth of them. Does that make sense? And that occurs afterwards. So it's one of those things where a criminal influence is easy to keep low if it remains low. If it grows past a certain point, it starts to become very easy for it and much harder and more expensive to sort of shackle it down. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Which feels like an accurate reflection of how crime works. So Okay, so they got a 14, which equals their current rating, but doesn't equal enough for it to grow to a 3. Right, and then for the other one, they're gonna have to get a 10 to grow. But no, the occult influence is saying the fuck out of Finer Heart. That tree is like, nah.
Crazy Jim remains in der Spielplatz.
Who's this
All right.
crazy French captain who's just tracking everybody down as soon as they pop up? He was only thinking cultist thoughts and they arrested him.
Okay, so I'm just making notes that those ratings are going up. The others have remained stable. So in the wake of the White Plague and with everybody moving in, like there was the opportunity for things to go pretty badly, but things are improving in Finer Hearth. And that's being coupled with that there's a lot of basic infrastructure that's being laid with the influence Gab's construction like debt accrued. Does that make sense? Because he had all the people from Versweiflung like who took on debt from him in order to like be paid in food and credits and stuff like that in the promise that they would do construction once the season broke. So that background, the way I was looking at that background was sort of like a stock market of like if Finer Heart got better, that debt was going to go down. If it got worse, he was just going to be stuck with it. Does that make sense? So between Giraud's work and the investments that have been made by Rosa and Gab himself, it's a considerable improvement. And so you can remove the debt. I believe you took 3 points of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And so that's what, that's 15 back? Because it was
yeah, you're gonna get all of that as experience. Like, it was basically like you took a hard bet on Finer Heart, put yourself at risk, and it has paid off, and the city is doing much better. And how that's going to work mechanically for Giraud's sake is that he's going to get 15 points to add to his roll, that he has to work with Gab to decide like where it actually goes. So with the 6 points that he has left over, that's one of those 3-point ratings that can go to a 4, or they can decide that the criminal influence goes completely to a 1. He's basically leaning on Gab, and Felix is like, okay, we'll stop doing X or Y.
What do you think, Gav? This is my wedding gift to you, by the way. You're all welcome.
Honestly, I think Gav wants Finer Heart to be a safe place to live. As far as he's concerned, soft crimes like pickpocketing and smuggling aren't so bad as long as, it's not people that they're smuggling.
I'm in agreement with this, and I do believe the safety and security of the district is of most important. And as we improve that, then the wealth will improve as well.
Just because we are poor does not mean we have to live like animals, da?
Oui.
So I want to point out, it just is like a sense of over the course of this time, since the council like was formed and stuff like that, Finer Heart went from a wealth of 1 and a security and safety of 1 with a criminal influence of 3, I believe, to now it has a wealth of 3, a security and safety of 4, a criminal influence of 2, and cult influence of 1. Which means that there's just like the place that Gav knew where every house looked like a rickety disaster waiting to happen, and it looked like a fire trap waiting to happen because everything was built too high and too close. The construction, now that despair is gone from the southern border, and the wall has not like been built. That money got diverted to like developing the army because there was like, well, we've kind of dealt with Posen, and Seeger's got to get through a lot of other places before they get to us. Let's work on building the army up, I think was the decision that was made there. Like they have the ability to expand southwards. They have the ability to build more housing. They have the ability to extend in that direction. And it's actually one of the few directions that Freiburg has the ability to extend in, because it's only pushing against Heelgrun's lands as opposed to Posen or Wish's lands, which in sort of like a realization, like this is the direction the city will be growing for a considerable amount of time, which means that they got into the ground floor of a very poor district that is eventually going to be where all of its expansion happens. And there's no longer the sort of stresses of like buildings built as tightly together or as high as they are. There's been a lot of like rebuilding of dangerous buildings, and expansion outwards. That same population is now housed like through a larger district, as Finer Hearth grows.
That's Gav's legacy right there. Is turning his home from the most dangerous district in the city to what is quickly becoming the place to be.
That's that.
And just kind of like, you know, cutting through like little flash of like Rosa kind of dealing with some storekeepers and stuff like that, getting them set into their first store, you know, giving them some advice on like, okay, here's what you do, here's what you don't do. Helping them with like their first inventory, and you know, like signing all the contracts so that they understand that like they're renters, but this is their space. And probably all the things that she had to deal with very unfavorably when she was starting out, she's getting to reverse. And she's also seen the way that Lilith Spratt's sort of ruthlessness made a competitive market district, but it that whole area, Lucifer residents would shop anywhere else because it was too expensive, too competitive, too cutthroat, right? And she's seen by comparison what like the marketplace, that was where she started out, that was like burned by the Inquisition, how much that was adopted by the locals as like, this is our marketplace. And what she knows is that like ownership and pride and affordability made it kick the shit out of Lilith's shops. She was really mad at them.
She's. Oh, go ahead.
So as she's kind of going through the books and, you know, like working with Honorine to kind of like set everything up, there's a lot that she can see that was just completely driven by profits. Like Amazon level wages for the clay workers because they couldn't take anything else. I saw your eye twitch when I said that. Sorry to break the fourth wall, but it's like that. Like Charlotte was a ruthless businesswoman. Part of the reason she was so successful was because she was ruthless, and that meant paying people starvation wages, you know, things that kept them in despair and desperate and hungry for work. That was the norm. She could very easily triple their wages and still make a profit.
Yeah, Rose is not gonna do what Charlotte or Lilith did. She's gonna try and set these people up for the most success they can, so that they can move on to a new place eventually. Like, she is not caring about like, oh, I can make a profit. It's, how can I help these people get off their feet?
The construction group that Gav has is, you know, working around the clock for like more opportunities, more space. You know, one of the greatest difficulties they have is like the need to expand the sewers at this point to accommodate how far south the city is starting to grow. There's talk of other opportunities, people going like, hey, Heelgrun's lands on our borders are almost empty, and we could have farmland there. We could have that, like there is a myriad things that could be used there, and there's no prince there to protect it or claim it.
Yeah, Rose is like, then go. Let's start expansion.
Um,
I think
And-
Gav as the assemblyman for yeah, obviously once that gets into the building plans, Gav definitely bring it up with Logan. And but also he would want to negotiate with villages that they might be encroaching on. Like there's no Iron Prince, but there are still people living in Heelgrun's land.
yeah.
So he would want to try and um like not encroach on their stuff. Like we're not stealing farmlands from people, we're working with them.
Yeah. Logan Logan's response is he's uninterested in conquering them, but he is interested in protecting them if they wish for his protection. If that's what they want and they're willing to trade, food, crops, taxes, etc., like as is the normal feudal relationship, he fully is willing to go along with that. And if that encourages others to move out into those rural areas because they realize their skill sets are not going to make them rich in the city, they do know how to farm and whatnot. He's absolutely fine with that, but he would like to work it out as peaceably with all involved. He's not interested in like the local towns that are already there feeling like they've been conquered by Freeburgians.
Oh yeah, it's negotiations first. Sword never.
um, and if there's one town that wants to and another that doesn't, then the one that doesn't, fine. And he just hopes that the prosperity that comes to the one that does encourages them to reconsider in a year or 2 or 10 or 20.
Mhm. It's like we're
Um,
not Posen, we're not Seeger, we're not Eric Seeger, we're better than that.
yeah. Um, so is there anything now in this kind of like lull of time that somebody's like really wanted to do, and has just been skipped over because we've got limited time?
Um,
We go ahead, Ren, you go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Runa.
um, I think in this lull of time, seeing all the love around her, she's really gonna like she's been looking into it for a while. She wants to do more research on a potential cure for the Wasson.
Okay. Um,
She's keeping herself busy.
what I would like is a wits and medicine roll from her.
And would it get the +5 from the doctor skill?
No,
Just so I
because
know.
this is more historically.
Okay.
Like,
27.
okay. So there's something that she finds as she realizes she's kind of like reading through the text on Watson and stuff like that. And there have been periods of warfare and brutality and devastation throughout Thea's history. There has never been Wasson on the scale that has happened here. It is unique to this place, this time, this last war that passed.
I blame Ruin. It's Ruin's fault.
And that's what I'll give you at this point with her, like doing research. This is isolated. There are people who've like gone catatonic before. right? But like it was rare enough that they didn't have a term for it. They didn't call it Wasen because there weren't enough of them for it to need a name.
Mm-hmm.
But there are wars of extraordinary scope which have taken as many lives, done as much damage, and as much devastation. But this didn't happen.
Mm. And actually, her first thought, actually, I don't know what she's thinking. I mean, I guess the next step would be looking into why that is.
There's unfortunately not any
And
existing research to it.
that's
And the question
the
becomes,
tricky
how do you devise an experiment for that? How do you prove it?
Mm-hmm.
As far as cures for like, let's throw like alchemy at it, they've tried everything. People who have been desperate to fix their loved ones, they've given them all manner of potions, good and devastating, in the hopes that would snap them out of it. They have tried fire, pain, torment. They have tried kindness, song, music. There's a
Just
case she
determined to
finds.
find a way.
There's a
Sorry,
case
you
she
go.
finds in one of the scrolls of a father who lost his son and became a Wasan afterwards. But he became a Wasan at the news of his son's death, and his son had been mistakenly reported as dead and returned to the family home, and he remained a Wasan. He remained unable to like believe his son was alive.
Now it feels like you're telling me that this is a dead end. Runa does not.
I'm not trying to say it's a dead end. I'm trying to lay out the reality of
Well,
what
yes. It
she's
sounds like a dead end, but Runa is not taking it as one.
I mean, Runa's been at Hans's house enough to run into Otto, but I don't know if Runa has had a chance to see how Otto's been improving like a little bit as he lives in with Hans and Anna. But that seems like a worthy, like if Runa has noticed that, it seems like a worthy direction of inquiry.
Yes. I'm just trying to figure out how to approach that.
The other thing that she has is she can start to talk to the Knights of the Rosencross, who spent a lot of the time in the despair camps where there was a large number of Wasen, and what they saw, especially in comparison to Otto and how he's fared. Because he was in the camps and then he was brought in.
For sure. She would be doing that.
So I'm going to go to Gerard since we've got about 15 minutes left. What else was it that you were looking to do during this time?
Gerard is going to approach Madame Cease about teaching the girls. There is an unfair viewpoint is that men should be defending women, and the cease women are more than capable of defending themselves verbally. I wish to teach them the art of swordsmanship, because if anyone can master my skills, it is a cease woman.
She says, I don't disagree with you. She says, I would say, I will not force it upon them.
Neither would I ask you to do so, as this would be strictly volunteer. Those who wish to learn, I will teach.
She nods. She says, many of my kin are going to need to find ways to support themselves. I desperately hope that they don't need to do so as swords people.
I do not see this as a way of them supporting themselves, but as a way of, but to be frank, protecting themselves from Charlotte. Because if she has come after you, she will come after Honorine, she will come after all of the girls. And I cannot be everywhere at once. And if I thought Charlotte to be that good, then I can teach any of your nieces and daughters to be better.
She says, you're recognized as a master's now by the guild, correct?
We,
And she kind of reaches out and she touches like the pin on his collar that represents that. She says, have you considered opening a school in Pinehard?
I have considered the thought we ought. My concern is your family first. Now, with this proposition, if I do open a school, I will need teachers.
She says, this is something that I know for certain about my family. She says, if I were to suggest that they should take lessons with you for their own self-improvement, they will make any excuse that they can to not be there. She says, if someone were to believe it the fashionable thing to do, you would have no shortage of students. She says, if you can find a way to make it thus for them, they will be there.
And of course, leading the way of fashion are always the 6 to 6.
She nods. You just have to make them think that it is such.
I believe that can be done.
She says, but I appreciate your attention to their safety.
I would say it is what you originally hired me to do, but it has gone beyond that at this point.
She says far beyond it. She says, I would have whacked you with my parasol if you had suggested it.
And I would have deserved it.
She smiles though, and she says, if there's some assistance you require, let me know.
I will. But first, I must find a place that can support such a school and find a way of carving some time out of all my other duties to do it. Because to teach the basics is not a mere week or two of swinging a sword.
She nods. She says, the foundation must be built. I understand. So, I think I am going to wrap us up a few minutes early today. As a reminder, we are off next week. So everybody go and enjoy yourselves. I might have like a movie night in Zoom or something like that for another swashbuckling movie, but totally just, attend if you want to. And I would like 2 nominations. I want 1 nomination for XP because the other one's going to Gav.
I was gonna say Gab, so
Yeah.
Honorine.
Yeah, Honorine.
She's like, for what?
She
A
looks so
lot.
puzzled.
A lot of moments where she was just being very Honorine. That like the drunken, I'm so happy to work with you, and like talking about her play, like her
Mhm.
passion project.
Yeah, I love
I
you,
enjoyed that
sister.
moment. I also enjoyed her little moment with Rosa.
Len for showing up to Gab's wedding in his groom's.
That was a good moment too. I did enjoy that.
He didn't know. You can't gamble on that sort of thing.
What if it was his wedding?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Yosa,
I had a
did you
great time
flip
with
a
like the wedding.
I was gonna say, did you
What?
flip a coin to see who was gonna get married or whose water was gonna break?
No,
Or you had a plan?
because we had things where she was pregnant first and she was proposed to first.
Mhm.
It was like always in my head that she was going to happen first.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to have like a kind of wild, silly, fun wedding episode, and then we're gonna be doing some more serious stuff for a while. And I think like we'll be able to look forward to like the Rosa and Len wedding after everybody's back together.
Hopefully
So,
before her water breaks. Please.
I don't necessarily want to repeat that as a thing. So,
I'm actually
Wait,
surprised Runa didn't look at Len and say, well, you're dressed for it. Let's just get it done while we're here.
They've got a whole other wedding thing. It's Cardinal Ciosa who's officiating. They've got the park set up. They've
Mhm.
got a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's like their wedding's not like the ship is not for their wedding. Like two different
Mhm.
weddings were planned, and Runa is not officiating one of them, and it's not on her ship.
Yeah, if Runa had pressed let him, and he's like, "Sorry, honey," and jumped off the edge, completely over the boat and into the drink.
You're going in the suit.
Honoring like looking at Rosa like, if you give birth before I get back from Fischler, I will be so mad. Because she's headed to Fischlerlands after
Yeah,
this.
Rosa's
Rosa's
headed out to
also
go
going
meet-
somewhere.
Yeah.
everybody's going somewhere, I think, except Gav and I believe Joata remaining in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that said, the next episode is probably going to be very character focused and whatnot. So, like, I might just go into it and say, okay, look, this is going to be about these 4 people. So, like, you're welcome to be here, but just understand that it's probably not going to be intensely focused on you. So,
If I'm not one of the characters, I might stay off camera and just make faces. Produce and make faces.
You're really
you're all
good at
welcome to
that.
stay off camera and make faces if you want to. Like, it's great to have the peanut gallery. So,
Oh, I
all
know.
right.
As a
I'm gonna-
professional peanut gallery.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Gavin Henri the bonus experience for this
Oh,
one.
thank you.
Gonna do 3 experience plus drama dice. I feel like it was a very memorable wedding. I really enjoyed the mental imagery of just sort of like passing under bridges, and music being played, and soldiers kind of and rowboats like following around
was
the river flotilla.
very unique.
Yep.
So, all right, let me read us out. I really appreciated everybody in chat being there tonight. I don't know if y'all can hear my cat. She is having a moment. She's been meowing for like 5 minutes straight.
She's not audible.
Bad.
So sad about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Thank you for everybody watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, and make a comment in the down below. Here at Dirty 20, we always sign out with the same call to action. Be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you don't, be nice. Be nice to strangers. Be nice to family. Be nice to your loved ones. Be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Good night.
Night,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.